How are we doing today?
Hey, Andy. I'm
Hey,
doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, but getting a little bit better each day. Got my coffee here. I feel like I'm sipping it like tea, which I don't think it's helping the same way that tea would, but I can
Well,
pretend.
let me ask you, how do you take your coffee? I'm always curious.
Just black.
Really? Nothing in it? No
Yeah.
sugar, no cream?
No, no.
No, I can't
Yeah.
do that. I want it to taste the least like coffee as possible. That's my preference.
Do the Starbucks thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way.
Perfect. Also feeling great this week. We are under contract on a house. I know the last video that was my big thing looking through. So hopefully, as long as everything goes according to plan here, we're going to be good to go. Moving out to the suburbs.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, very exciting and busy times now. Getting everything. We're like, oh, this is perfect. Like, been looking for houses forever. Now finally, we got it. We're ready. And then
Yeah.
the of course now we got to actually get all the money in place and start moving on it.
Yeah, isn't that funny that this whole process likely was so hectic and awful to deal with that it makes moving look really exciting and nice?
Yeah, well then also you're like, oh man, got through the finish line, we're finally under contract, and it's like, oh wait, actually we do still have to move and figure out how we want to furnish and all that. So
Well, that's the better step, I think. So
exactly, it's
congrats.
definitely more fun. So today wanted to talk a little bit about we're PPC Pitbulls. We're always talking about doing e-commerce digital marketing for craft brands, or I should say digital marketing for craft e-commerce brands. And every once in a while it comes up, what is a craft brand? So it's really what I want to focus in on today. I think when we say that, what I'm thinking of is a brand that is really focused on, or people really that are really focused on making a valuable product and having kind of an authentic message and building that product in the right way. So oftentimes there's a larger mission below underpinning, whether it be giving back to the community, whether it be making sure that we're building things in a sustainable way. Typically, we're talking about food, clothing, housewares, things that customers are using every day. And I think to that end, it's especially things that customers are really proud to use every day. The type of thing that you have, and it's a product that you enjoy using every day, but also it's kind of a conversation starter. You love kind of telling your friends about it, and when people see it, say, "Oh, that's beautiful." You say, "Oh yeah, well, also let me tell you a little bit about the story behind it." Those are the things that we're really passionate about and what we would call craft brands.
A hallmark of a craft brand, you might consider it like an owner operator of the business. There are people who are so deep into their product and into their story and into their business that you can just tell they just thrive off of it and they love it. They know that product forwards and backwards. If any customer came from any direction and asked them about any kind of piece of the product, they already know about it. They've already run into these issues dealing with customers over many years. It's just their whole life and they love it. So being able to support businesses like this is really great because these kind of businesses don't have the time and often not even the interest to even figure out marketing, to even think about it. They don't want to know about Google ads. They just want someone to help them with it. And so it's great to work with these kinds of businesses because they are the perfect treasure troves of information. So if you want to learn more about their product, you just go directly to them because they know all about it. Oftentimes they created it in their homes or in some workshop somewhere. So it's just really cool to get to work with these types of businesses because they live and breathe their product and they're not detached from it. It's their whole life.
Definitely. And I love that you mentioned kind of the coming at it from the marketing perspective. It really does make it fun and in some ways easy that we are able to really just get that product, tell the story of the product properly and get it in front of the right people and really kind of connect with more customers in that way. It's not as marketing gimmicks or trying to figure out. Obviously, we do need to figure out the numbers and making sure that we're being profitable in our marketing. But it's less about that and more just about building authentic connections with new customers, because the product kind of speaks for itself. You don't need to use all of the different little gimmicky things you could theoretically do. You just need to get the brand story out in front of customers, and it kind of speaks for itself.
I think that's a really good point. And I think that's something that as a whole, audiences and consumers are sort of wising up to. They no longer want brands that they don't know who runs it. They don't know where they stand on certain issues. They're just sort of like these black box brands where, like large candy companies and cereal companies and beauty products where they've been around forever, but we don't really know who's behind them. And we would much rather these days buy from people who we know who we're supporting directly, and we like them, and we like their product, and we want to continue to buy it because we like the whole brand. And like you said, the brand story, so important these days. So that's probably one of my favorite parts about marketing craft brands is we get to really share the people behind it. And so that blood, sweat, and tears, you actually get to see that. Whereas sometimes when you go to the store and you pull a product off the shelf, you don't know what went behind that product. You don't know the history about it. So getting to share that is just like an extra special cherry on top.
That's a great call out. We always talk about craft brands, but it really is more about the people. And oftentimes it is the story of the people who are making the product as much as it is the quality and the value of the product itself. And I agree with you. That is kind of why we, as a company, are really focused on partnering and serving these types of people, just because it's honestly more fun to work with people who are passionate about the thing they're providing. And the business side of it is super important because we got to be profitable. But at the end of the day, it's all about just working with people, good people who are building good products. So it's a really exciting thing to come and do every day. We just talked a little bit about some of the things that make marketing for craft brands great. There's a great story in place. It's really easy to tell the story of the product and of the people who create it. There are also some challenges. Oftentimes we're looking at smaller budgets. The nice thing about having a story and being a mom and pop shop is that it really is very easy to connect with different customers. The downside is oftentimes the scale is a little bit lower than some larger. It's tough to compare or to compete with some of the larger companies out there that are just throwing a ton of money at some of these digital channels. So we have to be cognizant of that and make sure that we're using strategies that make us competitive. Also, one of the things that we look for is some need for education. So this isn't necessarily just a product that you're going to see a picture of and all of a sudden want to buy. Sometimes it is. Oftentimes these brands are really focused on their packaging and making sure that we're really telling the story in that way. But oftentimes we need to take some of those brand attributes, whether it's how we connect with the community, how we give back to the community, the specific attributes of the product, the health attributes of specific food products, for instance. There's some education involved in making sure that customers understand what it is that makes these products so special. So that's another thing we need to think about in our marketing is in just a short period of time, when you just have a very quick impression in front of a new customer, how do we get that full story lumped in there?
Something that craft brands tend to focus on quite a bit is return on ad spend, or ROAS, or return on investment, which of course is important. But something that we're trying to transition a lot of these craft brands into is reassessing and reframing things from a customer value optimization position. So instead of looking at that first purchase and only thinking about that first purchase in terms of how much they're spending on the ads or how much they're putting, how much money they're putting out there to acquire these new customers, think about the lifetime customer journey that they're having with your brand. Where are the opportunities for them to come back and purchase more? Or where are the opportunities for them to help become brand ambassadors and bring in more customers that way? We see quite a few craft brands who are focused, because they have smaller budgets, on the bottom line, and they really have tight margins. They want to make sure they have really good return on ad spend, but sometimes that's a little short-sighted, and they need to be looking at their customers that will be around with them for years to come, and not just for this one purchase from a Google ad that they clicked on.
Definitely. And from a strategic standpoint, a great way to do that is really focus on continuing to build that relationship and making sure that after you get that first purchase, you're still giving value and still really deepening the relationship with the customer. And I think in the digital space, we really think of that a lot, especially nowadays in terms of first party data or email data. So how are we making sure that we're capturing a customer's email? Because that's really the main touch point we're going to have moving forward in the digital space. and how are we, making sure that we're using that in different ways to give them valuable information. It's not just a matter of like, hey, let's remarket to them and get more money out of them. It really is, how do we find ways to give them more value, to either teach them something new about the product, to even build loyalty programs and ways that we can give discounts to people who are true brand ambassadors and buy the product and share it with their friends. So all different ways. But yeah, I think at the crux of that is, how are we making sure that we're building this email-based relationship with our customers and leveraging that to really do what in the olden days, and still in today's day, we would try to do in brick and mortar stores. So, that's really the most valuable part of these products is, that person-to-person relationship between the creator and the customer. How do we make sure that we're still capturing that in a digital space? But yeah, so jumping into kind of wrapping up here, do you have your bit of good news or good thing for the week?
Yeah. So I am finishing my bachelor's degree in forensic psychology at Arizona State. And I found out that I really only have, after this next semester, about a year left. So that's my good news, is that I'm much closer to being done than I thought, having started my degree in like 2006, 2007, and having taken a big break in between. I am so much closer to finishing than I thought. And so I'm just getting really excited about cracking the books and being super nerdy and getting this done.
Yeah, that's like the best type of good news, or best type of good surprise, I should say.
Definitely.
And on our side, I feel like we are so focused and heads down on this house thing. So that's our great bit of good news, is that we're finally have ended the house search process and have moved into, house move-in process. So that's been really, really exciting and been a huge relief for us.
Well, enjoy it. And hopefully you have lots of friends or movers to help you, so you don't, take out a backer.
That'll be the next one.
Or anything like that.
I promised myself a long time ago I'd never move myself again. We would just find movers, but we'll have to see how that works this time around. Well, have a great rest of your week here.
You too. And we will be chatting soon, I'm sure.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.